Do you sometimes feel too tired to write? I know that for me, this year seems to have started a little slower than normal, and it could be that I am just tired. So I had two books come out one after another. So one in 22, one in, well, actually, what was it? One in 23, 2023, 2024. And for some, that's not a lot, right? So I know some very prolific writers who write three, four books a year. But for me, especially since I am doing it on my own, I am independently publishing. So that means I'm doing all of it. I'm writing, I am editing, I am creating. Well, I don't create my own covers. I hired my cover designer, but I'm responsible for the cover. I'm responsible for marketing and uploading books and formatting books, all of that. So it becomes a lot, it's a lot of work when you're doing it all yourself. So one book a year is really pretty good for me. And maybe it's just too much. Also, winter tends to be a little slower anyways. I don't know how you feel, but for me, it seems like, it gets dark earlier, and so you go to bed earlier, you're tired more often, you're tired earlier more often. But the thing is, when life is more demanding, there's a lot more going on, or the seasons, you're busy, you're tired because of the seasons, then it becomes kind of a challenge to find time to write because you're tired. And when you're tired, you're not really at your best. So what do you do? Because as writers, we want to keep writing. We don't want to say, well, it's winter, I'm not going to write this winter, or I'm too tired because I've published all these novels, I have all this work to do, I'm too tired to write, because we want to keep moving ahead with our novels. We don't want to say we're too tired to write and not write. So a lot of us will write even though we're tired, which is a good strategy. I mean, we don't want to not write, so we want to write even if we're tired. But what else can we do?
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
The first thing you might want to do is just lower the bar. So you might say, well, I have to write for 3 hours a day. I have to write a chapter every day. And this is my schedule, especially if you are already a writer and you're used to, and this has been your schedule. This is what you've been able to produce in the past. So you're thinking, this is what I have to do. I write for this long. I write this many pages, this many chapters. And when you aren't doing that, then you start to get down on yourself, right? Like, I should have done this. This is what I normally do. Why am I not doing it? Well, the answer is that you might be overscheduled, or there might be other things happening. So lower the bar. Tell yourself, okay, well, at this point in my life and my career, for whatever reason, I am not going to produce this many pages a day, a week, whatever. I am going to actually do half of that. I'm going to be working at 50% right now. I'm not going to be writing an entire chapter. I'm going to write one scene. I'm not going to be writing 25 pages. I'm going to write 10 or 5 or 2. When you lower your expectations, it makes you feel better. You don't have all this pressure on you, and it actually allows you to be more creative. So plan less and congratulate yourself for the work that you're doing. All right, the next thing that you want to do is allow yourself to write messy and fix it later. So if you are a perfectionist, if you want everything to come out perfectly, but you are overwhelmed, exhausted, and you write something and it feels like it's terrible, it's okay. Allow yourself to do that. Write as poorly as you can. The point is, you want to write. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to look at it and say, well, normally this would have been such an amazing chapter and it really feels dull. It feels uninspiring. That's okay, because you're going to fix it later. Allow yourself the grace to write poorly and then know that later on you're going to come back and you're going to edit this. And it may not even make any sense, so don't worry about that. You might come back later to it and say, I don't even know what I wrote. I don't understand where I was going with this. That's okay, because you can rewrite it. You can change it later. The other night I woke up, dogs woke me up, cats woke me up. I couldn't get to sleep. It was 2 in the morning, and I thought, you know what? Why am I just laying here trying to sleep? I got up and I wrote a scene, and I thought, I don't even know if this is any good. I'm going to have to come back in the morning and reread this and see, do I even want this scene here between these other two scenes? And is it any good at all? When I got up in the morning, I thought, well, yeah, it's pretty good. It does need some changes. I need to do some things. I need to add some details. I need to add some movement here. It was mostly dialogue, and that's okay though, right? It's something that now I can read it as a full chapter and see if it makes sense. And if it doesn't, I can pull it out. It's okay. I can lose it. It's not lost time. It's just something that at least I wrote that day, right? At least I didn't waste my time. I wrote the scene, got a little more tired, went to sleep. Next morning, I was able to come back and do some edits. Something else that writers tend to do, just to make progress, is these little micro writing sessions. So they set a timer, or they set just tell themselves, I have this 20 minutes here, I'm going to write. And they do. They write for those 20 minutes. They write for 10 minutes. They write for 5 minutes. And then, whenever they can, whenever they can fit it in, whenever they're not exhausted. So that way it all adds up, right? So maybe you don't have a full hour to write for, every day this week. So you decide, I'm going to write for these little micro sessions. And then maybe by the end of the week, who knows, you have a few hours worth of work done because you did in little chunks. It's not ideal. At least I don't think it's ideal, because it tends to be broken up too much. And it takes a little time afterwards to sit there and see if it flows, how it flows, or how to make it flow better. But at least it is writing it. It is moving you forward in your work. Another tip is to tap into your emotions. So if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling overly emotional and tired or whatever, that actually might be the best time to sit and write, because those emotions that will probably most likely come through in your writing. You can channel what you're feeling into your characters. I have done things where I've moved ahead, or I knew that a chapter was coming that was going to be very emotional. Maybe a character was going to be angry, or maybe a character was going to grieve the loss of a loved one. And so I decided, I'm going to write this scene now, even though I'm not there yet. I'm going to write this scene because I'm feeling all these emotions. I have all these things I'm trying to deal with, and I can write the scene, use those emotions. Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes I overdo it. But later on, then I'll go back to writing whatever I was writing. So let's say this crazy scene, this emotional scene is coming up on page 200, but I'm still writing back here in page 75. So I'll go back to page 75 and I'll keep going on the story until I get to this part. It might be weeks later, it might be months later, probably weeks later. And now I read it and think, okay, was it good? Was it not? And more often than not, it's actually good, because I was feeling those overwhelming emotions, the sadness, the anger, whatever it might have been. And I did channel it into the character and into the story. That doesn't mean I don't have to edit it or make some changes. Yes, I do, because things may have changed as I got to, before that, as I made my way to page 200. But it usually tends to be really good. At least the emotions are there. And something else that you can do is change your medium. If you are used to typing on your computer, maybe you write on a piece of paper with a pen, right? So you change the way that you're writing. Maybe you write on your phone. Maybe that you think, I just need to get away from my office. You get in your car, you go sit on a park bench, and you type. I cannot do this. I can't type with my thumbs. But I do know writers that do that they'll write an entire chapter on their phone. And if that comes easy to you, you can do that, then that's great. So you're changing the way that you're writing. It might make the writing feel less tedious. You might even record yourself, go for a walk, record yourself telling yourself the scene. So again, just changing things up sometimes makes it a little easier, makes it a little less overwhelming. Maybe if you're going on a walk, you're relieving some of the stress or anxiety or whatever you're feeling, and also getting your work done. And in a way, you're thinking of your writing as a little bit of self-care too, right? So I'm getting some exercise, I'm feeling better, I'm getting some fresh air, and I'm also writing. Or I should say, you really think of the writing as self-care. Like I'm actually not going to write my chapter today, but I'm going to write in a journal, or I'm going to do something else where I am expressing myself. I'm writing, but I'm using it more as a way to escape or deal with some of your stress. I never tend to think of writing as work. To me, it's always a time for myself, a time for me to focus on my characters and just to forget whatever else is going on in my life. So to me, it's never work. It always feels really great to sit and be able to write. But if for you it doesn't feel that way, then you want to have sort of that mindset shift where you start to think of it as, hey, this is a time for just for me to relax. And then the last thing that you might think of doing is actually resting. So if you are exhausted, if you're overwhelmed, then decide that this is going to be a rest day. Don't do it too much or for too long, because it then becomes a way for us to avoid our work. We don't want to do that. But hey, everybody deserves a day off. And so if you're saying, I'm just plain exhausted, I'm really tired, I don't really have the energy, I don't care about the book or the characters today, well, then sit down, watch some Netflix, go to a spa, go do something that you enjoy doing, and just let it sit for a day or two and then come back to it. And you'll probably feel more refreshed, maybe more eager to get the work done. And you'll appreciate that you actually got some sleep or you got some rest. And sometimes part of that sort of stepping back and taking some time off for yourself and just not writing at all is good if you can share it with other people too. So it might be that you talk to online friends and say, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I really don't have time for writing. And they might be feeling the same way, or at least they would understand how you're feeling. Or maybe getting some, accountability, where you sit with people and say, I'm overwhelmed and stressed, I really can't get anything written. Hey, my friend says the same thing, my other friend says the same thing. Well, okay, well, we do need to keep going, right? So how about we promise each other we're going to write a page at least this week? Okay, let's do that. And then, you don't want to add more stress to yourself, but that might be just kind of fun. Let's see if we can all write one page. Let's see if we can all do this week, and just start making some movement forward. Usually when you get going, then you end up doing more than that. You write more than one page, more than what you told yourself you're going to do. And at the very least, it's kind of nice just to connect with friends and talk about things that you all have in common as writers. So life can get heavy sometimes. We can get tired as writers too. We're not superheroes, right? So we do get tired. We're just human. So as long as you can keep going and taking little steps, taking some breaks, but moving forward, you're going to be just fine, right? So what the point as a writer, if this is our career, if this is something we're going to do for the rest of our life, we're not going to be at 100% every single day. It's just not going to happen because we're living life, right? So we want to allow ourselves those moments when we can take breaks, when we can do less than what we normally do, but feel that we're still progressing, we're still taking some steps towards our goal of finishing our novel. So that's the ultimate goal anyways, whether it gets done in a month, a year, 2 years, or 5 years. As long as you're continuing to move forward and you're getting better and better as a writer each time, I think then it's always great, right? We're always doing good. So thank you for listening. I hope I've made you feel a little bit better about maybe taking a break if you need to. If you've liked the video, please give it a like, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.